This is how the side mirror moves. It moves as a whole.
Pretty cool. First time seeing a mirror like this.
Yep, and back to my saved position.
Not bad, huh?
Come, shall we go for a drive?
Let's. Some say the Teslas are a better EV, and the Polestar, like these two Polestar 2s behind me, could be better cars. In this video, I invite Jefferson, who recently shared his 4-day road trip across Malaysia on his Polestar 2 with us, and in December made a winter road trip across Sweden and Finland to document his journey. Jefferson, thank you for being on the channel.
Hey, hi Daren, hi everybody, Jefferson here.
In this video, we'll hear about Jefferson's journey from ICE to hybrid to EV, how he discovered the Polestar 2, what he likes about it, what he doesn't, and advice for new EV owners in Singapore. Click subscribe to stay updated to more videos on EVs. Jefferson, what should the audience know about you?
Okay, first and foremost, I'm a die-hard Volvo fan. But more recently, I started to love the EV drive, and hence you increasingly see me becoming an EV enthusiast, and hence the post that you all see on Facebook as well. So I guess this is a timely opportunity through Daren's video to share more of my experiences, pros and cons of owning an EV through this video. And I hope you all will find it useful in your adoption, continued journey being an EV owner.
Thank you, Jefferson. You've been a driver for many years. You're passionate about cars. You've driven in many countries, in many environments. Can you tell us about your journey? What led you to eventually get a Polestar 2?
Sure. So, a quick background. I'm the kind that prefer car rides that are quieter and fast. So those loud and noisy engines are not the kind that sit well with me. So when EV came about, it fits the bill for the kind of drive that I like. So that caught my interest. But Volvo first came out with a plug-in hybrid, which I tried in Sweden in 2019. So that's where, in city driving, I got to experience the smoothness and quietness in EV mode. And then only when I go between cities, then that's where I use the petrol. And that was why, I think back in 2020, I've gotten my first plug-in hybrid after the experience. And I've gotten used to almost full electric drive in the plug-in hybrid in Singapore. And thereafter, I decided to give a try. Why not try out a full electric vehicle in Sweden in its worst state, where the temperature is cold, minus 20 over degrees Celsius. The battery range will effectively half compared to what we have in summer. And if I can get used to it, then owning an EV is not a problem in Singapore and Malaysia.
If anything, our climate is actually pretty good for EVs.
It is almost twice the range compared to cold winter times.
While we have great climate, we have another problem. Singapore is known as the country with the most expensive cars. And when you switch from your plug-in hybrid from the Volvo S60 to your current Polestar 2, your road tax went up by $3,000.
That's right. The road tax, both cars are of the same power actually, 300 kilowatts or 402 brake horsepower. But because of the way the road tax is structured, the plug-in hybrid's road tax is about 1,200, whereas the Polestar 2 will be about 4,003 next year, when the full penalty of the road tax additional component is factored in 2023.
Why does it make sense to own an EV then in this environment? Especially, as many drivers know, Polestar 2s, like Teslas, are Category B COE cars. As we are filming right now, the recent bidding for Category B is 106,000 Singapore dollars.
Yep, it's very expensive. But I guess that same Category B applies to all other cars as well, including ICE. But one benefit that the EV has over the plug-in hybrid as well as the ICE cars are the $45,000 ARF rebate, which I believe Teslas and the Polestars should be enjoying maximum value of rebate. At the same time, the energy cost of running the car in electricity, it's up to close to 90% cheaper than running on fuel. I think it's even more now. The gap has widened with the current increased petrol prices.
Many potential Polestar 2 buyers will definitely ask, I'm sure you watch a lot of videos comparing the Polestar 2 with the Tesla Model 3. Price range not too far off. The Tesla has strengths that people know, like supercharging, battery management, range. But that's not the only reason why we get a car. What convinced you that a Polestar 2 was the right choice for you?
So for me, I guess that speedometer that's right ahead of me is something that I'm used to. It gives the key information that's needed of the car's statuses as well as our location on map without turning to look at the center screen. So these are things that I'm more used to, and Polestar gives me that familiarity that I have from my previous Volvo cars.
Right now, I'm going to invite Jefferson just to give us an exterior tour about what makes a Polestar 2 unique. It's one reason I hear around the world that people may pick a Polestar 2 over other EVs like a Tesla Model 3 are the looks, the design. So let's check it out.
Sure, let's go.
We're here at Jefferson's Polestar 2. Tell us a bit more about your variant.
Okay, my car is actually a long-range dual motor. Probably from the exterior, you can't tell the difference from the other variants. But the part where you can see it, different is actually based on the sticker at the bottom, where it indicates the battery capacity as well as the power of the motors. So 78 kilowatt hour is the bigger battery, and 300 kilowatt represents dual motor. And of course, this color is in white, or what Polestar call the snow color. And of course, this is the part that I feel represents pure in its best form.
Ah.
Yep. And
Is there a standard color for Polestar? Like for Tesla, we buy them here in Singapore, it's white, and then we have to pay extra for other colors.
for Polestar Singapore, at least from what I understood, there's a range of colors they can pick, and there's no additional cost to it. But of course, the range of colors it's somewhat maybe limited, and hence, of course, white is my preferred one among those that are available. There should be white, gray, black, dark blue, and beige, which I understand in the facelift, I think the beige would have been removed.
See.
Yep.
Key difference in the design philosophy is Tesla is a bit more bling bling, right? You can get the red color, the iconic red Tesla. You've got the blue as well. For Polestar, it's a bit more muted.
That's right.
Calm,
Yep. It's a little bit less in the face.
more Scandinavian.
Perhaps, maybe that's how we can call it. Simple and not so complicated. That's perhaps the design language for Polestar is.
And this comes from an XC40, which was supposed to be an SUV. This is actually a sedan.
Yep. So this was actually launched as the sedan version of XC40 under the Volvo brand initially, before Polestar became a standalone brand. And you can see, or you can do some quick research. This was launched as the Concept 40.2, whereas the XC40 was launched as the Concept 40.1. But of course, after Volvo decided that the Polestar should be a standalone brand, one that is performance electric focused, one that looks into sustainability and a slightly different design language. This design, this 40.2 concept was actually given to Polestar exclusively, and hence now it's Polestar 2 as we see it.
What's the most popular color you've seen for Polestars in Singapore?
In Singapore, I've noticed grey and white as the more popular ones. But what I've heard internationally, the dark blue one is actually the most popular.
I'll go behind the camera so that Jefferson can really bring the exterior of this car to life. I'll ask him questions along the way.
So I start off with the part that is the most different from from the other cars, which is the side mirrors itself. You'll notice it's actually frameless. And this is quite a different design from most other cars in the sense that the mirrors is usually enclosed within casing, whereas for this, the entire units actually rotate around the stand here to adjust to the driver's optimal angle. And from what I have understood from Polestar, this actually reduces the drag due to the side mirrors by 30%, and hence marginally increasing the EV range when driving long distances.
For Teslas, their side camera is over here.
Right.
Where's the Polestar side camera?
Okay, so the side camera is actually used as part of the 360 camera, and it's actually right below the side mirror, as you can see. And this is where, in total, we have 4 cameras, one in the front, one in the rear, and 2 at the sides. And that's where the software will digitally stitch them together to give a bird's eye view of the car's surrounding.
Jefferson, can you tell us about charge ports? Because in EVs, charge ports are all over the place for every brand. How does it work on the Polestar 2?
Okay, I would say compared to most of the cars that have the charge port at the front or the front side, Polestar actually have it at the rear side. And to me, actually, this is the most convenient. Number one being the ground clearance for the rear bumper is actually higher, so it allows the car to back in right to the curb and to be as close as possible to the charging station. And as we know, not all charging stations come with very long cables, so this position actually becomes ideal. And of course, if you can see, this comes with the Type 2 AC port as well as the CCS 2 port for faster DC charging. And these ports are widely available in both Singapore and Malaysia.
This button here is to unlock the charger.
That right is to unlock the AC Type 2 charger.
And like a stranger comes up to your car, tries to press the button, what will happen?
Okay, so I've tried before on my own with the car locked. It doesn't release the cable. You need to have someone with the key nearby for it to release the AC Type 2 cable. So this is a good security feature, I feel.
So you're trying to take away Jefferson's charging. No, not happening unless you've got the key. I believe you've got a copy with you in your...
Alright, I have one
No.
key with me here. And of course, the other key is the digital key that's on my phone.
So Polestar, like Tesla, they have their own app as well, where you can unlock the car, you can see your state of charge.
Right.
What else are your favorite features on the app so far?
It does show the location of where the car is parked. You can have it in the map view as well. At the same time, you can also turn on the climate control before you even enter the car. So just that to make sure it's warm or even cool and comfortable before you drive off. So at the rear, this is the part where I like best about the design of the car. You can see the tail lamp strip actually runs from the left to the right, and there's some animation effect when you unlock the car. It'll be a lot more visible at night, of course. And when you lock it likewise, you run backwards in the opposite direction. Very beautiful, I feel.
Very cool.
Yep. And of course, the other distinctive feature about this car is the lack of exhaust pipes to show that this is a zero emission car.
One thing very cool about the trunk of the Polestar 2, and what convinces many people to get a Polestar 2 over a Model 3, is that this is a hatchback. So as Jefferson opens up, you can actually show that it's a lot more usable space.
That's right. So the key feature about the hatchback opening is the opening is very big and wide, and that's where it allows the swallowing of big luggages, even when oriented in a vertical manner, very easily after you fold down the seats. And this was also my own personal experience when preparing for the Sweden trip last year in December. I roughly had the same amount of volume as my Volvo S60, but because it's a sedan, I need to find different ways to orientate it before it could fit all the luggages in. But when I was in Sweden, in the Polestar 2, it was just easy shove in and off we go.
Does your Polestar 2 also have the hands-free trunk opening using the leg?
By right, it should, but unfortunately, due to the chip shortage, at least for this variant, I don't have that portion. Which I've understood that Polestar said it will be reinstalled back in due course. But I would say actually, with time, I've gotten used to not having it. But nonetheless, it's not a showstopper for me. More importantly, is how we can take in the luggage and its practicality.
There are some other creature comforts in the trunk that's a bit different from Tesla, and it's actually this lift up here.
This is what they call the grocery bag holder and the load divider. So for example, if you can see the backpack that I have inside, if I want to prevent it from rolling around, this board actually helps to keep it within that half of the trunk space. And of course, what else it does is you have additional hooks here, in addition to the ones that are at the side. You have a few bands here, so you can actually hang your groceries and use the band to secure it there, and off you go.
And there's additional space at the bottom as well. Yes,
That's
really.
right. As you can see, that's quite a lot of stuff that I have here. There's a stand to hold it. And of course, that's quite a fair bit of space compared to a typical Volvo, of course. And that's where I leave my stuff here, which in my previous car, they've always been on top of the boot floor itself.
Specs-wise, the Model 3 has more volume in the trunk, but then because it's a hatchback, I find it easier to actually access. How do we open the front Polestar 2?
Okay, it's right at the front, like how you would typically open the, the bonnet of a typical ICE car. So you have a catch that's right at the corner there.
This one here, right?
That's right, so you just have to pull the lever.
Okay, so I'm pulling this lever.
That's right. And you can see from the display, there's a red color bonnet indication to show that it's open and hence we shouldn't drive.
Okay, let's check out the front. Now, one thing I noticed about the front is if you come from Tesla, you just immediately pull it open. I made the same mistake with the Porsche Taycan last week, and it doesn't open. There is actually a latch.
Yep, there's an additional catch. Like most ICE vehicle, where you have to open, which you can see from here. You lift it up, and this is the front. Of course, this is where Polestar stores your tire repair kit instead of taking up space in the boot. But once the front space is taken up by that, you probably just have enough space for your charging cables, which we'll likely use when we're charging AC in Malaysia.
One benefit that the Tesla has is you can actually put ice cubes, you can put your seafood, your canned drinks, your beer over there, and just drain all the water after your party. Every car is different. Size-wise, it's good enough for a small office bag, a gym bag. You're not going to fit a hand carry in this, but that's what the space behind is for. Now let's pivot and check out the interior of Jefferson.
Let's go. Okay, as you can see, the interior is vegan, aligned with Polestar's sustainability philosophy. There's no leather parts here. And of course, if you look around, starting with the speedometer, this is where before you start the car, it shows you the key information that is needed. You have the expected range, you have the door statuses, and of course, you have the battery level.
My first time inside a Polestar 2 ever in my life. This is interior of the Polestar 2. Can you tell us a little bit more about how different this is from other cars you've rode in?
Okay, so as mentioned earlier, for a start, this comes in leather-free by default. The other noticeable difference is I have a very large center screen. Volvo has them as well, but not as big as the Polestars. And of course, if you notice, this is actually running on the Android automotive system, and the typical login requirements before the system can actually access my account related information in these apps that come with the car.
This is a 11.12-inch portrait mode screen, and it runs on Android Auto. There's a recent software update that now allows Apple fans like me to use Apple CarPlay in the future.
Yep, and this was just installed a few days ago. Let me show it to you. Okay, so with me logged in now, you can see the typical default screen is the Google Maps itself. And you can see from all the pins that are on the screen, these are those that I have saved using my computer or handphone, tagged to my account, and it all shows up here. Likewise, if I were to start the car, you'll notice that the same pins are also available on my speedometer screen.
So this is all Android Auto.
Right, this is all Android Auto.
Is it connected to your phone right now?
No, it's not. This is an independent, lack of a better choice of word, computer system on its own, and it's running its own.
The voice assistant works here like a normal phone voice assistant?
Yep, it does. So I can, the typical ones would be navigation. So I can just say, hey Google, take me home.
Navigating to home.
Pretty cool. For Tesla owners to activate the voice assistant, we still need to physically press the right scroll wheel on the Tesla steering. So hopefully in future iterations, it will also be just voice commands for future Teslas.
That's right. And the voice command as well can change things like the seat heaters, the steering wheel heater, the aircon, temperature, and of course the speed of the fan of the aircon. So all these are all quite convenient. I guess this is the answer to what most complaints have about just having a screen in the middle, that it affects safety because you have to take your eyes off the road and press the screen. But with convenient voice activated controls like this, it's never a problem.
The sunroof, is this a default for all Polestars now?
I guess based on at least the different Polestars I've seen in Singapore so far, it seems to come as standard. But if I'm not wrong, in other markets, this sunroof or moonroof could be an option.
And it's got some nice styling features throughout the cars. First, you notice there's a Polestar logo at the top.
Yep. So this would perhaps amaze kids who are sitting in the rear seat at night, especially. That will probably keep them occupied on long drives, perhaps.
And it's also got the logo down here. Can you tell us a bit more about this?
Okay, so this is the gear shift lever. This is something that I think Polestar has kept to give that familiarity feel for owners who have transited over from ICE or PHEVs. So the moment you enter the car, so I guess this is the part where it's perhaps maybe a little similar to Tesla. There's no key to turn, there is no button to press to start it. The moment you sit on the seat, it activates it. All you have to do is just to step on the brake pedal, shift the gear down, and you're ready to drive off. So likewise, to stop the car, you just have to press park, open the door, and off you go. Likewise, if I'm a little bit lazy, I could just leave it in D, open the door, unbuckle my seatbelt, go off. The car will just put itself in park and turn off itself thereafter.
So that's a cool underrated feature. Once you drive a more modern car like a Tesla or Polestar, we don't have to manually lock our car. Do you have to manually lock your car?
Yep. For the Polestar, it doesn't automatically lock if you walk away from it. But you could, there's a few ways to lock it. So either through the handles that you see from the exterior walk around, or through the key or through your own phone digital key.
For now, you still have to manually lock your Polestar. Maybe one day through a software update, they may not need that anymore, like what Tesla has right now. I've also seen on videos some people use this almost like a armrest to just control the touchscreen, especially when the car's moving.
Yep. In fact, actually, I was told that this is designed in a way that is ergonomically comfortable to use the screen. For myself, I don't use the screen a lot when I drive because it's all voice activated. But I tend to use this more when I'm playing around with browsers, especially when I'm charging my car. So like for example, if I were to open this Vivaldi browser, and that's where I have YouTube, to spend my time when I'm charging the car for long distance drive, that's where you realize it becomes a lot more comfortable to rest your arm on this gear lever and start pressing whatever you need on the screen. And of course, back to the home screen, you'll notice that these are the apps that I find useful for myself. There are a lot more in the Play Store. Okay, maybe not a lot more because the number of apps for dedicated Android Automotive is still growing, not as widely available as our typical handphone. But it has grown in the list since the day I collected the car. But nonetheless, I guess this is where you can see the ones that I feel relevant for my own use.
I know yourself and many other drivers, especially those in Malaysia, wish there was Waze.
Right. So if you can see from here, I have quite a fair bit of map apps. Google Maps as shown earlier. There's ABRP. So for those who are EV users, you know this Better Route Planner app very well. It gives you the estimation of your battery level based on the settings you have keyed in at various points of your journey. So thankfully for the Polestar and the Android Automotive system, we have this on the car. But of course, it takes a while to load. This is one alternative that I would have. And then of course, for those who wish to know where the charging station locations are, you have the PlugShare app. And this is also available in the Polestar 2. But for Waze, which often comes with alerts on traffic situation and perhaps maybe where the police may be, that's where I have to plug in my phone. of course using a cable to activate the Apple CarPlay. And there you can see it's a full screen Apple CarPlay function. Whereas for some of the older cars, Apple CarPlay is often featured with just half a screen. So for this, you have it big and wide. And Waze, as you can see, it's available here.
So with CarPlay, there is ways. You just have to plug in your phone. Doesn't matter if it's Android or CarPlay.
That's right.
You're plugged in right now. Is there a wireless option?
No, there isn't. But I understand that there are some third-party accessories which you can purchase, where you can have a dongle that is plugged in wired, and then for the phone to wirelessly communicate with that dongle itself. I know this have worked with some of the Volvos. I've not tested it on this car yet. Maybe in due course, I might just find some time to do so.
Now let's take a look at the rear seats.
So now coming to the rear seat of the Polestar 2. You notice space is just right. For my height, there's enough headroom. There's enough leg room. But of course, compared to my earlier cars, which is the S60 and the V90 Cross Country, which are a segment and two respectively bigger than this, you notice this is a little bit tighter. But otherwise, I would say just sufficient, even for long drives. So at the rear, you notice there's also rear aircon vents right in the middle of the console. It comes with it as well, heated seats, though less relevant in Singapore, but definitely very useful in countries with winters. And along with it, two USB-C charging points.
Compared to the Tesla Model 3, this one is definitely cozier. There's more space in the Model 3 for rear passengers. Would say this middle seat would probably be more for child anyway. It wouldn't be suitable for adults.
Perhaps maybe for short drives, not a problem.
Okay.
But long drive, then I guess that's where it might get a little bit uncomfortable for bigger sized adults. Yep. And if you noticed, there's also a hump here. While most would say that and the true fact is this is actually came from an ICE, or at least a shared platform with an ICE vehicle, and hence this hump over here. But what I've understood is Polestar have cleverly placed battery packs within this hump so that it frees up some of the space where our feet currently is, so that it gives a greater depth and a more ergonomic feel for the thighs of the rear passenger adults.
Agree. So I think it feels a little bit deeper. You can put your feet in behind the seats as well. Leg room, again, I've got one fistful. I'm 176 cm high. So if I just sit normally, it's slightly under a fist. If you're a bit taller, you just have to lean a little bit lower. And got cup holders over here. Two cup holders.
That's right. And actually some of these parts here, especially for current Volvo XC40 owners, you notice a lot of parts are actually quite similar to the car you're having. And I guess because it's practical enough, so it's good for the Polestar 2 as well.
What I'm sensing is, if you're an existing Volvo owner, coming to a car like this, it almost feels like comfort food.
That's right. It's home, it's seamless transition. That's how I call it. Yep.
This home drives. So now let's take the Polestar 2 for a drive. A first ride at it and see how it handles on the road.
Come, let's go. Okay, so this is how the side mirror moves. It moves as a whole.
Pretty cool. First time seeing a mirror like this.
Yep, and back to my saved position.
Not bad, huh?
Come, shall we go for a drive?
Let's.
So as we would expect from EVs, it's silent. The only noise that you hear are the tire noise, as well as any surrounding noise. The variant I've gotten is the 19-inch, so it's actually one of the 19-inch wheels. This is the smallest that Polestar can offer for the Polestar 2. And I personally like it because I'm more of a comfort and speed person than one that throws the car to the corner.
You've driven your Polestar 2 a lot. What's the real world range you notice?
Okay, so it depends on how hard I drive the car. In Singapore, based on my driving style, it's typically between 360 to about 390 kilometers, depending on sorry, I should rephrase. I've never driven the full 100%, but these are figures extrapolated based on the amount that I've drained from the battery on a day-to-day basis.
Owning a non-Tesla EV, a lot of people have consideration about charging. How do you manage it?
Okay, so for me, because I stay landed, so I will have the added advantage of charging at home conveniently. But for those who have been following my posts on the EV Facebook, you have noticed that I've been charging my plug-in hybrid cars very frequently outside. And those times that I've charged outside for the plug-in hybrid, that same duration would be sufficient for a full electric car to charge up almost 1 week's worth of range if they had used the DC charging station, which is widely abundant in Singapore.
It's getting better for everyone, not just Tesla owners. And I believe it's a matter of when and not if that even the Tesla supercharger stations will open to non-Tesla EVs in the future. So Jefferson also recently shared that right now in Singapore, the only fast EV chargers that go above 80 kilowatt hours are the superchargers.
That's right, and it's because some of us will have seen 120 and as well as 100 kilowatt charging stations in Singapore, but it's been technically limited to 200 amperes of current output. So given the voltage, the 400 volt voltage of most of the EVs in Singapore, that translates to about the maximum of 80 plus kilowatts of charging. Anything faster requires a higher current output, and Tesla superchargers are the one that I know has that ability.
So we're driving along Alexandra area right now. There's a lot of start-stop traffic in Singapore and even on the way to Malaysia. Teslas are known for one-pedal driving, makes it easier. How is it on a Polestar 2 for you?
It's good. Ever since I moved to one pedal drive, I've not moved back. Basically, most of the actions of your foot is on the accelerator pedal. So previously, where you have to switch your foot from one pedal to the other and modulate the brake pedal, now you just have to slightly release the accelerator pedal to match up with the speed in front. So it's a lot more convenient this way, and I like it. But of course, in terms of one pedal feel, I happened to have a chance to test drive the Model 3 once at the Millennium Walk, and I understand that the regenerative braking for the Polestar 2 is a little bit sharper than the Model 3. So while for some they may say that it's not as smooth, but I guess this boils down to the footwork of the driver of the car. And I think for one who prefer spirited driving, especially suddenly slowing down when coming to a corner and then speeding up thereafter, such sharper regenerative braking might be useful for those situations. Okay, ready? Let's go.
Whoa! Nice acceleration. This car goes to 4.7 to 4.3 seconds.
To from 0 to 100, yep.
Yeah.
So just now we tested to close to the speed limit of the highway,
Yeah.
and that's about it. The rest I guess you have to try in Malaysia.
I imagine your friends and family, the first time sitting in an EV, trying the acceleration. How's their response to it?
One nearly spilled his drink while I accelerated, even though he was already prepared for it. But otherwise, I would say the general comments that they gave me is it feels like a roller coaster ride when I floor the car.
It's a nice thrill, doesn't get old for me, even though I've got a number of EVs with acceleration. I love it.
The instant torque is something that is useful in traffic like Singapore, where sometimes you turn on the signal and the cars beside you don't give way.
Watch out, hazard reported ahead.
That's where you'll find the instant torque useful.
Agree. You're not going to blast all the way to 100 kilometers per hour. It's good for lane changing, merging, 4.3 seconds. This is with the performance pack, I believe.
Nope, it's not. It's just the standard long range dual motor version.
So that's pretty solid. Last week when I was on a Porsche Taycan, this was the base variant. Yeah, 0 to 100 is 5.4 seconds. So this is not bad. Of course, Model 3 performance is 3.3 seconds. Still, all this is plenty fast for most people. And if you come from a nice car, or even a plug-in hybrid, this is a pretty noticeable difference. I'm curious, between a plug-in hybrid and an EV, how big of a difference is there?
In terms of acceleration, unfortunately I didn't have a chance to drive the similarly powered plug-in hybrid in Malaysia, so I guess most of my comments is up to the speed of our highway speed limits. I will notice that the plug-in hybrid tend to have more torque and power closer to the higher speeds, whereas for full electric vehicles you get that oomph right from the start, and as the speed starts to pick up, then you feel less of it. So that's from the power point of view. In terms of
Watch
efficiency,
out, roadworks reported on the road ahead.
in terms of efficiency of electric driving, my own experience is that plug-in hybrid averaged about 19 plus kilowatt hour per 100 kilometers, and this car is about 22. Both figures are based on charging station meter. That means not from the car speedometer itself. So if you ask me, between the two, efficiency-wise, not too different. Of course, noting that this car has a lot more power on its motor as compared to the plug-in hybrid, which has about 87. Other than that, when I need more power beyond the electric motors for plug-in hybrid, that's where all the typical vibration and noise of the ICE engine will come in, which is something that I avoid most of the time when I drove the plug-in hybrid. But what that means is also there's a lot more constraints. I can't step too hard. I have a meter that let me know when I will cross that electric motor power's ability. At the same time also, my range is also quite limited. For plug-in hybrid, the maximum range I've gotten was about 49 kilometers. So whenever I head around to different parts of Singapore, especially meeting friends, I will have to diligently plan places to meet where there's charging stations so that I can stay full EV as much as possible. But with this full electric vehicle, with a range of between the 360 to 390 km, but this is never a problem. I'm just free to go wherever I want.
Owning an ICE car, a hybrid, and now an EV, do you feel that hybrids are the best of both worlds or the worst of both worlds?
From a user point of view, I would think I would still call it the best of both worlds, especially if you notice most of the plug-in hybrid now tend to come with larger battery packs, including the Volvo plug-in. The latest ones should be able to give you a range of between 60 plus to 80 kilometers. So if you ask me, with those variants, it's definitely best of both worlds, because in Singapore I can drive fully EV, enjoy the petrol savings, enjoy the silent drive and acceleration. And when I go to Malaysia, where the charging infrastructure is still improving, having that petrol option will give me that added assurance. And of course, noting that in Malaysia, petrols are also about half the price of Singapore. So I would think at this point in time, it would be a win-win in terms of convenience for the user. But from a technical point of view, it's also a lose-lose, because number one, I have limited space for the battery size, and hence the range are usually limited because you're sharing with the ICE components. And also what that means is when I'm in EV mode, I have to carry the added weight of the petrol in the tank and the ICE engine. And when I'm in the ICE mode, or when the engine is turned on, it has to drag along with it the weight of the motors and the batteries.
This is your like a dashcam camera.
Right, from black view, both front and rear, and I guess we probably see this in most of the cars today. And I know this is something that Tesla has differently from the rest of the cars. The cameras are all integrated, and you have a lot more different angles to pick from. I know this would be one good feature if my future cars can have them as well.
So I think that's a nice ask. That's like how many years ago, Volvo was the first to patent and pioneer safety belts, these ones that we're wearing all over the world right now. Today, Tesla is also pioneering the 8-camera Sentry mode. It keeps a lot of drivers safe. In Singapore, it's one of the safest countries in the world, but those 8 cameras around helps with insurance claims, help with road bullies, road harassment. For some drivers, they find it very useful. But there's good in every brand, and that's why I'm here in the Polestar 2 together with Jefferson, just to learn and understand what's great for Tesla, what isn't, what can we learn from other brands. We've just completed a nice 15-minute drive, and as we park, take a look at how the cameras work here.
So this is the 360 camera. I'll show you how it looks when I back up into a car park lot. So this is some software digital fusion of the 4 different cameras, 2 on just below the side mirrors, one at the grille, the front grille, and the other at the boot. So I think this is a good feature that helps us to park neatly into the lot, especially for some of us who can't really tell or can't really orientate ourselves well in terms of position a lot. So this will come in very handy. If you need to see the different individual camera positions, this is how you do it. Just click on the screen, tap on it. So this will show you the front. So this is the camera that's in the front grille. To head back again, click 360, and then the side camera. And then of course the rear. So this will be the standard rear camera.
It's been exciting to see other EVs in action. While many of you watching this are Tesla investors or Tesla owners yourself, the real challenge isn't Polestar 2 versus Model 3. The real challenge is how we convert the remaining 90% of cars on the road that are ICE cars into EVs. It's a win for everyone. There's enough space in the market for everyone to grow. I hope you found this insightful to learn about the strengths and the weaknesses that the Polestar 2 and the Tesla has. If you found this video useful, please click the like button. Hit subscribe to stay updated to more videos on Tesla. Take care everyone.
I've taken out the case of my car key, and within it you can see there's actually a spare physical key inside. So just in case if the battery is flat, you can still manually open the car or unlock the car using the keyhole that's right behind the front passenger door handle. So just in case.
Crazy cool.